Well, we avoided the January curse, so let's see what the rest of 2019 looks like.
This guy was a fierce warrior.
Okay, well, technically, I did the warrior stuff.
So you fought and master built and kicked butt, and then the hapless male was the leader.
He, well...
Well, thanks to this sudden onslaught of generous early screenings, I have already seen Lego Movie 2. The only thing I kind of want to let people know about ahead of time, other than yes, I do think it is good. How good is a different question, but because of one particular line in the trailer, my initial hypothesis was that this film was going to use a literal battle of the sexes to say something about how selected toy marketing creates a divide between the genders. But that was probably a bit too much to expect of a glorified toy commercial to admit outright, and would create a giant stink online, so it's not about that technically. Instead, the film is framed as a battle between ages and the stereotypical aesthetics that accompany them, to oversimplify. So people who are worried about this, be less worried. This one line is the only time gender is overtly mentioned and has less to do with the themes in this film than it is about being just a one-off jab about a flaw that many addressed in the first film, and I'm okay with that. I think how it handles the subject it does have is interesting, if imperfect, and it was just a really fun movie. And guess who also had early screenings? And of course it's great! It's beautiful and it's perfect and there's nothing in it at all that makes me want to strangle anyone. Though let's be honest, because the trailer already revealed a certain line and a certain image, and also just because it's the third in a trilogy, many of us kinda guessed how it was gonna end, but I don't think anybody minds. We just want to see how it ends. But as sad as it is to see this series come to an end, more depressing is seeing DreamWorks' future without this series. At least they've rethought doing another Shrek, I think.
Gus Cooper!
Well, that didn't work. Nope.
At least we got dinner.
Finally, after all these years, the Roller Coaster Tycoon movie! Well, technically no, but upon the first teaser, I was on board with the concept of a magical amusement park. Until the celebrity talking animals showed up. Now it just seems like a lot of forced comedy with the typical, I used to love this thing, but then my parent died or left, and now I don't like it. Let me learn to love again! Oh yeah, and the villain is Darkness. How Disney Channel original movie of you. Well, it is produced by Nickelodeon, so not too far off. The details could make it more interesting, and I do appreciate anything that encourages children to invent and build things. I don't know how funny this will end up being, but we'll see.
You can speak.
Yes, and I write as well. My penmanship isn't great.
So, Laika, can't help but notice you look a little different. It's hard to know exactly how certain studios come up with their concepts for their films. Was this always their plan, or did they have no choice but to go for a brighter, more comedic film because their darker horror fantasy niche has been yielding less and less box office returns every time, despite them being some of the best animated movies ever made? But they haven't gone completely mainstream. It's set in the 1900s. The protagonist is supposed to be a myth and legends investigator, so there's still somewhat of a supernatural edge, and the comedy is relatively subdued. But possibly their most disappointing change is that this is their first that doesn't have a child protagonist, and I think studios vastly underestimate how much children really like when children are the lead. But it happens less and less because animated films need more celebrity cameos. But being Laika, I'm sure it'll still be pretty good. I highly suspect this being a classic case of put all of your simplest one-note jokes in the trailer for attracting family audiences when the movie ends up being a little bit more than it appears. It does seem like their stop motion skill has reached another level. It is incredibly smooth. Nope. I have made my stance on Disney reboots very clear. Unless I hear that there is a substantial change to the story or characters, I am not interested in seeing what is looking like another Beauty and the Beast-esque carbon copy. Same goes for Aladdin 2. Yeah, tell me the shot of the sun rising compares to the original on any level. I do have the strong suspicion that Simba will be made less obnoxious in this film, or, kid accurate. The question is whether this would be a Sailor Moon Crystal scenario, where ridding the character of all their negative traits just makes them boring. But I do understand people being drawn in by the voice cast and the photorealism. Yes, the word is photorealism for the people tired of correcting or being corrected about calling this the live-action Lion King. And it's not as though live-action Disney hasn't tried to do things other than reboots, but it does seem like everything Disney does that isn't animation feels underwhelming and calculated these days. And now Hunchback of Notre Dame is on the docket too. Yes, it's nostalgic and underrated, but I think you have vastly underestimated how much parents don't like showing their kids that movie. I just don't think that in your ultimate goal to apparently absorb all the money in the world, that this is the one you should be aiming for. Actually, it might be worth it to have a version of Hunchback that's virtually identical, just with no gargoyles. Well, at least whenever these reboots show up, it does inevitably bring attention to the original and often makes it look better.
Perfection.
Don't know, but let's go say hi.
Hello.
Must be a customary greeting here.
It is well known that child-oriented animation is at least half about selling products, but this seems to be a year where people aren't even trying to hide it. The Lego Movie has already proven itself to stand on its own regardless, but we also got Playmobil and the UglyDolls, based on a 2001 toy line about promoting diversity and acceptance by featuring a bunch of dolls that are adorable and not even remotely ugly, setting children up for the Hollywood definition of the word, where Emma Stone and Watson are supposed to be homely nerd girl outcasts. Throw in a character that looks like Lilo Scrump and then I might take you seriously. This film is clearly aimed at an even younger age group than usual animated films, so I already question whether or not I should even bother seeing it, especially since it also is a celebrity-packed jukebox musical with very, 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 very conventional sounding pop voices. But I'm also mildly interested in how they're going to handle the ugly dolls versus the monster racist children in the cookie-cutter suburb. It'll probably have something to do with singing.
I don't belong here.
Well, I honestly didn't see that coming. I think we're past the point of repeating how much we didn't need a Toy Story 4 and questioning how much of a cash grab versus a good idea for a story sequel situation this is. Acknowledge that we're all going to see it anyway and wonder, what the heck is this? Is Toy Story finally going to go full existential and question how the toys are alive in the first place and what qualifies as a toy? If a child plays with an electrical cord, does the cord come to life? If a child plays with their food, does food come to life and that's how Sausage Party happens? Probably not, but just for the possibility that they might, I am all for this now. There's also the confirmation of the return of Bo Peep without her skirt, and honestly, I wonder why. I did hear a while ago that the new Toy Story would feature a love story between Woody and Bo Peep, which could be flippin' adorable as Buzz and Woody shippers all cry themselves to sleep. I just, again, hope that this is coming from a decent idea for a story, not a shallow decision of, hey, we once had a pink girl character who didn't really impact the plot very much. We need to fix this and make her an action chick. No, you don't. Then again, it could also just be a practical choice given her skirt that's also supposedly made of China. If they wanted Bo Peep to be a character that was more involved, they just needed a way for her to be able to move better. I still have faith in Pixar, but I also heard that this production was a bit iffy, and Pixar and iffy productions have not always been a good sign. But then again, Toy Story 2 was basically scrapped halfway through and redone, so who knows? But anyone else find it a little indulgent that every time we go to the theaters, we see not just this teaser, but also the one with the Key and Peele sketch? Do you think we're gonna forget this exists if you don't show both?
We start fires.
Yes, all 4 trailers for this movie are funny. Of course they are. That's how they get you. We have established multiple times that Illumination makes good trailers, because their trailers are all of the good parts of their film, unless the best part is the literal ending, though Lord knows that that's not even a guarantee. And the movie is just the trailer stretched out for an hour and a half. Now, I've gotten a lot of, if you don't like Illumination, then why do you bother seeing them? And while the easy answer is it's my job, even though I don't technically work for anybody and I can pick which shoes I want to cover, but the big reason is why critics don't just go see the movies they want to go to. You try to go to films that you're not quite sure of because there's always a chance that they may surprise you. I am always genuinely hoping that Illumination will do something eventually that interests me. I know the chance isn't huge, and I know Illumination is never gonna make the next How to Train Your Dragon. They've made it clear the company they want to be is the makers of super safe, not even potentially limit-stretching series that parents can feel safe bringing their 4-year-olds to. I'm just always hoping one day they'll make an exceptional comedy, not just more of the same okay.
Here we are.
It's like if a Lego knockoff did an isekai series. That's normal person gets transported to magical world in anime. It is blatant product placement, but if it's funny, it won't matter. I do like its expressions and its self-awareness. I don't exactly have high hopes for this, but this is a decent trailer.
Look at me.
Look at you? I can't not look at you, Walter. I can see my butt and your face at the same time.
Ah, Will Smith in an animated film. That's not associated with any traumatic memories. But so far, this looks really funny, going for the exaggerated Hotel Transylvania Storks route. For any other studio, this would just be another average attempt. For Blue Sky, this looks like it could be one of their best. Yes, that was a burn.
So here I am, trapped forever in this inhospitable pit of a town. I need something big, some miracle that will get these people to start writing some letters. Yeah, it's gonna take nothing short of a miracle.
This is it. I have found my visually favorite film of the year, and it's coming to Netflix? I am officially ashamed of everyone. This is the 2D 3D hybrid that I have been waiting for. And it's a holiday movie? This already makes me so happy. Good job, Spain. Good job. And that's it for trailers so far, but we do have a couple of posters. Though from this part, I'm just kinda rambling. Well, more. I'm actually pretty stoked for an Addams Family animated film, which seems to be taking at least a solid chunk of its design from the old animated show. Though Wednesday has a pretty severe case of vertical face, but I am all for more horror-esque animation. Though Addams Family is more of a horror aesthetic comedy. We're also getting a sequel to Shaun the Sheep, which will most likely be adorable. There's also this movie from China called Wish Dragon. That's kind of a genie situation that may make it over to us. And then there's Sonic. I have absolutely no nostalgic ties or otherwise to Sonic, and though I never saw any of its animated works in full except for the '99 animated movie, the best animated thing I've ever seen of his has been these recent animated shorts. But fans have been really upset over the posters, and yeah, I get it. Why are his hands and feet so tiny? But they're also too vague to know exactly what the character is gonna actually look like, which is probably why they didn't release a more definitive poster because they're still designing him. There was this one image I found that maybe is what the character is actually intended to look like, and it is different, but it's workable, and it's better than this. But is this really gonna be an Alvin and the Chipmunks situation with the half live action? Well, at least then I won't feel obligated to have to see it. And even though it's not until November, I'm surprised we haven't heard more news about Frozen 2 yet. Clearly because Elsa has only recently finished freezing the Midwest. The only thing we might have is an image from a Russian calendar. I'm highly skeptical in this age of impeccably detailed fan art how legitimate this image is. But this image of DreamWorks Abominable came from a similar sort of calendar that just featured images of upcoming animated films, but in Spanish, so it's possible. And where can we get these calendars? But if this is a bona fide leaked image, I am all for Anna's new outfit. But really, no idea. We know nothing. Then, of course, there's the various anime movies that are released in a year, but those are a lot more uncertain in terms of when they'll actually come stateside. But the likely candidates include Penguin Highway, which looks adorable. There's the new Trigger movie with reincarnated Kamiya fighting a bunch of robots in a novel twist. And the less likely just because of timing, but the new Makoto Shinkai film that will hopefully get here faster than Your Name did. Oh, and of course, how can we forget the story of a terminally ill girl literally called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, which is actually in some theaters, like now. Now, I'm sure the movie has a very serious sentimental reason for why it's called that, but I'm just gonna take this time before I see the movie to say, Japan, what is it with you in titles? So that's 2019 so far, and Lego Movie 2 had better be nominated next year because it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other options. Oh yeah, and by the way, I know the Norm of the North sequels exist, but they're not being released in theaters, so I don't have to watch them. You guys know that every time you search, let alone post about these movies, you're giving it free advertising, right? Stop supporting stuff that sucks. You are part of the problem.